Chapter 8. Sighting the Monster. I hired a horse and carriage and left immediately for Geneva. It was a sad journey, with my thoughts full of memories of my sweet, innocent brother and the horror my grieving family were all suffering. As night came and I approached Geneva, gloom and fear replaced my sadness. It was after 10 o'clock when I drove up to the gates of the city. In my grief, I had forgotten that the gates closed at 10. Since I couldn't enter the city until the next morning, I rented a room for the night at an inn in a nearby village on Lake Geneva. I was too nervous to sleep, so I decided to rent a boat and sail across the lake. The woods of Plainpalais were on the other side, and I somehow needed to see the place where my brother was murdered. A lightning storm was approaching over the mountains, and by the time I reached the shore, a heavy rain had begun to fall. Thunder burst with a deafening crash, and eerie flashes of lightning lit up the lake as if it were on fire. No sooner had I pulled my boat up on shore than I caught sight of a figure on a gloomy mountainside. As the figure moved out from behind a thick clump of trees, I froze in my tracks and stared into the darkness. The next flash of lightning lit up the figure. Its gigantic, hideous shape only confirmed my fears. It was the monster. What was he doing here after all this time? Then I shuddered at another thought. I asked myself, could he have had anything to do with my brother's murder? No sooner did that question occur to me than I knew the answer. Yes, I knew for certain that only such a horrible monster could murder an innocent child. My teeth began to chatter and my knees went weak. I leaned against a tree to keep from falling. A moment later, when I looked up, I saw the figure hurrying away. I started to follow him, but the next flash of lightning showed him climbing the steep rocks on the side of the mountain. Then he was gone, disappeared over the top. I stood frozen against the tree, thinking back to the night 2 years ago when I had given life to this creature. I was filled with guilt as I now asked myself, did I turn a monster loose in the world so he could kill? I spent the night, cold and wet, on that hillside, agonizing on the horror I had created. When day dawned, I made my way to Geneva and to my father's house. I considered alerting the police so that the monster could be tracked down. But what kind of story could I tell? Could I say that I, a university student, had created a monster and given life to it 2 years ago, then had seen that very monster on the side of the mountain just last night? Besides, who would believe such a strange tale from the lips of a man who had spent many months with a fever that was close to madness? I knew that if someone came to me with such a story, I would say it was the ravings of a madman. Besides, what human could hope to stop or even catch a creature who was capable of climbing the sides of a mountain as the monster had done? I had no answers, so I decided to remain silent.